Newsfirst Newsline with Faraz Shaukutali.
Asian human rights.
And a jolly good morning to you. This is Newsline, live from the Newsfirst studios in Dawson Street in Colombo. And joining me this wonderful morning is Mr. Basil Fernando, the chairman of the Asian Human Rights Council. And also joining us is DIG Priyant Jayakodi, who's DIG in charge of crimes and criminal intelligence. Wonderful. Gentlemen, thank you for being on the program and welcome to Newsline. We'll start with you, DIG Jayakodi, if I may. 150 years. You celebrated, the Sri Lankan police celebrated it a few days ago. How do you think, what kind of report card will you give us?
Actually, when you are talking about the Sri Lankan police history, I should say that we celebrate 150th anniversary 3rd of September on the basis of initiative of the Sri Lanka police by British in 1866 September 3rd. But as soon as British initiate to govern this country in 1796, they started the petroleum system in Colombo Fort, employing Frederick Miles Barons as a first fiscal officer, and that is the very inception of
the origin of
police in Sri Lanka. From 1796 till 1866, we consider as the unorganized periods under the British government.
Very well. Now, how do the police fare now? There's always public concern that the police are not really delivering upon the public's expectations, that there is unfair amount of force used by the police against suspects, and that the conditions are dreadful, and that the rights are being not being met or not being given or respected, and you know that the police are very good at stopping the small man and are very poor at stopping the big fish. How do you react to
this?
That?
This is little arguable decision, because everywhere in the world, police is doing some part of governing the people.
Yeah.
And as a philosophy, any person doesn't like for these governing issues. As example, you say that one person stopped the car in an allowed parking area.
Yeah.
Sometimes, as a police personnel, we have to take some immediate action according to the ground situation. If the police constable comes and inform him that please take your car because there is a requirement, but this is little arguable thing, then he is not happy with the way the police orders him. Actually, it is some governing concept. On this basic, some people doesn't like police. I should say that police, I couldn't say that police is purely a white and it's very perfect. There are some police officers, because we are having 84,000 members in the police, Sri Lanka police, and out of this 84,000, there may be 4 to 5% we have come to know that people who are involved, officers who are involved in a lot of corrupt practices plus. But we are trying our level best now under the present leadership of the present IGP. We are trying to minimize this influence. We are trying to minimize, because always, but this is using force and other things are the very primary allegations against the police in everywhere, even especially the Asian countries which evaluate from the British and other governing bodies. And but fairly now, with the assistance of this organization like Asian Human Rights Commission, I think Mr. Basil Fernando will agree with me, we have launched so many educational programs, because actually we have to change the concept. Now we are on the right direction to do that and to establish the very good and people-friendly police in Sri Lanka.
Thank you for that. Mr. Fernando, what do you say? Is the police doing a good job?
Well, you see, we could look at it this way. If the criminals don't like the police, that's a good thing.
Indeed.
If the victims of crime have problems with the police, then we must really worry about that. See, that is unfortunately, when the system does not work, the criminals are happy. Because they have so many ways to circumvent. And the victim is unhappy. See, for example, let us say you are a rape victim, young girl who has been raped. See, what you expect the least when you go to a police station, that you will be received well. Despite of whether you are a poor or any, it's the poor people who get into this most of the time. That you will be received well, that your complaint will be taken down well, and all the preliminary things
and
will be
done. And that you will be treated with some sympathy.
Sympathy and, the respect for human dignity.
This is where
the problem is. So the question is that, we agree that despite of 150 years of the official history, about 50 years of this was living in a dark period. There were, the insurgencies, the emergencies, anti-terrorism laws, and all these times were very, very difficult times. And unfortunately, the police were assimilated into military tasks. And that was openly admitted. That, for example, defending Colombo became one of the most important tasks. So then at that time, the policing function was, to a great extent, reduced in order to do that kind of functions. Then, of course, also came particularly in the previous periods, VIP function. Large number of, every time the one politician goes, they are calling for all kinds of. So we went through a difficult period, and this is admitted. The question is now how to get over that the whole period and bring back the basic idea that law enforcement is so vital to society. And the function of the police are what is called the law enforcers. See, we can have all the laws. If the law is not enforced, the police, the people are not secure. Take even the street. Now, how many accidents we hear experience? Just when you look at the police, the paper, the few days back, I said within 1 day, six people being killed. Now, all this is organizational issue. The whole, how do you organize the whole setup? And there are difficulties. There were recruitments to the police purely on the political purposes, particularly around 2006. And I think the number was not small. Number is about 26,000 people were brought in out of the 85,000 police force without going into the normal process of recruitment, looking into their background, looking into their educational qualifications.
But now they are part of the police force, so it will take time for this to be cleansed.
No, the question is not only cleansing, that some of those people who came as the reserve police officer today can be at a higher position. So these are problems. The question is how openly we are willing to talk about these problems. How we willing to admit these problems, and how willing the government support a change. Because ultimately these things don't depend only on the police or the police commission.
The government has some role to play.
Major role to play by providing, first of all, the policy line. Secondly, the necessary funding into creating a viable system that to be keeping with the demands of a different age. See, 150 years when we began, we had Karatha period. Bullock cart travel. Today, with all the sophistication and the urbanization, all these things bring huge problems. And the child sexual abuse issue is very much related to these bigger issues.
Right.
How do you prepare a policing service?
Let's find out the answer to that after this short break. Don't go away. After all, this is Newsline. Welcome back to Newsline, where we're joined this morning by Basil Fernando and DIG Jayakodi to discuss matters, especially following the recent celebration that the Sri Lanka Police Force is 150 years plus. Mr. Fernando, you were saying about the laws and the policing of issues surrounding children and women. Are you sort of satisfied with the various institutions we have in place, or is there something left to be desired?
Well, you see, the very basis on which this government came into power was that our institutional setup has suffered a great collapse.
Right.
And that is the major thrust of the discussion.
Yeah.
So that is the whole debate around 17th Amendment.
Right.
So still we have not been able, even on a constitutional sense, to bring back the full scope of the 17th Amendment, although 19th Amendment passed with modifications. So there is for bring up the institution to ensure that they are independent. On the one hand. Secondly, ensure that they are capable professionally to do their job, for which means enormous amount of investment of training, education, particularly on forensic sciences, on the latest technological aspect. For example, computerization can make a huge change convenience wise in the complaints taking, the quick dealing with complaints. You see, quick dealing with complaints is very essential to build confidence on the people.
But to be fair, I believe that if the police department were left alone to do their job, they do it splendidly well. They really do. But it is when the politicians start involving themselves and forcing themselves in that the police work is somewhat compromised. How does one get away from that culture? Because we have the OIC of a police station who needs to be recommended by the local party organizer, the head of the organizer from there.
That was I should say for us, that was the early practice.
Has that practice stopped now?
By introducing the 19th Amendment, I should very firmly say that the political interference has minimized to Sri Lanka Police.
Right.
Now we are directly under National Police Commission, which controls the transfers, promotions and recruitments of police officers below the rank of Inspector General of Police.
So has this police commission got any teeth?
Why? The police commission is the sole authority and the institution responsible for administration of Sri Lanka Police now.
Right.
Now they have started almost 1 year.
Are they allowed, in your opinion, are they allowed to act independently?
Why not?
What about the Minister of Law and Order, and what about the Prime Minister? Are they making interference?
No, actually we can't forget that our administrative system, the ministry is there to look after the police on their requirements, and some policies prepared in the legislation. But the police commission is there to control. But now I should say that police is on the very correct direction with the independence hand.
I think I want to ask Mr. Fernando this question. How was the Hong Kong police turned around? Because they had this unenviable track record.
The Hong Kong police was one of the worst policing systems prior to 1974. When the firm decision was taken to have a change, and there was a political determination to do that. the major way that it was done was developing an independent commission against corruption, ICAC, genuinely independent, in the sense that the entire system is run by from outside the police. Police officer is not even taken as to do the investigations, because they said that these two should go independently, so that one can supervise the other. So the result was within 2-3 years, almost everybody was getting caught. Then they went on strike. The police came to the streets against the commission. Then the governor intervened and said, we will bring an amnesty. Things that happened in the past comes out of a bad past. So we are willing to forgive you that, but we are going to enforce the law from now on. And they did within 4 years. Now today, average citizen does not pay any bribe to anybody, not only to the police or anybody. The police they are reasonably well paid. As a result is, they have developed attitudes that our job is related to the law enforcement, and we do it within that framework.
That's a good point that you just said. How well are the police paid? I don't want to know how much you earn, but I want to know how much does a constable get paid?
That is, we have to, for us, that we'll have to think about very comparatively.
Yeah.
But according to the salaries drawn by the other profession in this country, police is also paid according to that. But there's a big requirement. There's a big requirement for increase in the salary. I learned that government is going to increase the salary.
But honestly, how much does he get, a constable? 25,000, 30,000 a month?
Yeah, so approximately 30 to 40,000.
Right. Well, we can't say whether that's enough or not enough.
But we can't forget that the Hong Kong police are the highest.
But that's the point that I'm trying. That's the parallel I'm trying to.
Yeah, but you have to think. You can't just say that to demand that much of money. You have to think about the country's economy.
No, we know that everything is relative.
Yes.
But how relative is it what's the level of corruption, do you think, at the low level?
Yes, corruptions, according to the research, 4 to 5% of the people in the service tend to corrupt. But out of the 95% are not in that position. And now under the leadership of the present Inspector General of Police, but now we have fixed the responsibility. That means the line of responsibility. Now recently there was an incident where the police inspector was detected by the officers of the bribery and corruption. But his immediate supervisor, in charge of the senior superintendent of this particular division, were asked for his accountability. Why this happened, and he was transferred out of his assignment. And this sort of system is also on the way, but we just keep our eye blind, and the line of responsibility also fixed under the new leadership, and that's the way. And not only that, because we'll have to change. This is you can't do overnight, because you have to.
But that's the point.
Yes,
you see,
because my point of view is there is a big requirement of change in the culture. Now you see, in some instance, the police officers have come to know, because this has been published by in the newspapers also. When the person catch for a traffic detection, he is preferred to pay. There's a tend to pay bribe and go. But as Mr. Basil Fernando very correctly said, now as the Hong Kong people change their attitudes and the culture, there's a requirement for changing the attitude and culture of the Sri Lankan people also.
See, from a point of view of a quick approach to change, there is one institution. If it changes, there will be a very significant change. That is the role of the ESPYs. Assistant Superintendent of Police is directly in charge of every police station. You know,
on that note, let's take a short break and come back and discuss the role of the ESPYs. Don't go away. After all, this is Newsline.
Newsfirst, Newsline with Faraz Shaukat Ali.
Welcome back to Newsline, and thank you for being part of the network that reports to you on the questions that you want answered. So, Mr. Fernando, what is the role of the ESPYs? How can they play a more dynamic role?
See, if you just go back to the police orders, you know, the book, departmental orders.
Yeah.
There's the detailing out of very simple things.
Yeah.
Say they are supposed to visit the police station. They are supposed to see into the cell when where the people are kept, how the things are, you know, provided for the detainees,
meals and other.
the books, how the books are being maintained, and all it is been detailed set out. Secondly, when is crime, if it's a serious crime, he must visit the scene of the crime. So here is a supervisor. Every ASP would have about 2-3 police stations around, and here is a supervising officer who is of a higher educational standard, high experience, high training. If he keeps his supervisory role over the police station, these things cannot happen. See, torturing of a person is something you cannot do in secret. People yell. No, you know, these are not things, you know, you can do underhand. So ASP should know. Unless he takes a condoning attitude, then the people feel okay. I mean, we are not going to get into problems.
Yeah.
But where they strongly do their part of the job, they are in between the hierarchy and also the lower ranks, and they can make the problems known to the hierarchy of what is at the bottom. So this vital function of the ASPs.
I have a question from a member of the public. The police department is to maintain public safety and law enforcement. Let's take a simple issue. They even issue a temporary official license to a person whom they apprehend driving a vehicle on the road without a license, regardless of the fact they actually have a license or not. This is the level of professionalism. Is that true? What he's saying is that the police department, if they stop somebody on a driving matter, and even if that person doesn't have a driving license, they issue you a ticket, and that becomes a temporary license according to this.
No. It is a very wrong information.
Right.
The issuing the spot fine you are referring is not a temporary license. There's if we hold the license only. If we taken the license only, we can issue the temporary
so
license.
In exchange for the license, you give a temporary. That's the only way.
For the license, we issue the temporary permit and permitting him to drive for a certain period. That also very much restricted for the particular period. And issuing is this spot fine is a separate issue.
Right.
When you are receiving the spot fine, it doesn't mean that you are allowed to drive even without driving license. It's a wrong information.
That's a question that's come from a Mrs. Ranshi Goder from Moratua. Thank you. We hope that you will keep sending your questions. So, Mr. Fernando, I want to ask you this question as we wrap up. We have a situation where the Bribery Commissioner has instituted proceedings. Amongst others, included in that is the former Defence Secretary Gotabaya Rajapaksa. Now, I presume that he's been brought in there because he was a public official. He was the Defence Secretary. Now, we also have a situation where the Auditor General says that the Central Bank on the bond issue had an initial loss of 1.6 billion rupees. Now, the governor of the Central Bank is also very much a public official. How come nobody has done anything about the former governor. He oversaw this transaction. He played a key role, and it's all there for everyone to hear about in the court, in the proceedings that have emerged from court. So, how does we hold him accountable? When can we get our money back?
See, the first issue should be that wherever there is a complaint that or a ground to suspect that there is a crime has been committed, the moment that is noticed, it is the duty of the proper authorities within the police to initiate proceedings. For example, first, not only
or are
the
they
police,
waiting for somebody to give a complaint?
No, the first duty is on the Commission for Bribery and Corruption.
Yeah.
Because this come within corruption. The profiting from use of your position, if at all. I'm not in a position to decide on anybody's guilt or not. That's not our function.
Yeah.
But if there is that question, the first initiative should come from the Commission for Bribery, and they should immediately invest. If this happens, if this kind of thing happen in Hong Kong, the ICAC would immediately start investigating.
And what is the ICAC?
ICAC is Independent Commission Against Corruption.
Right.
They would take initiate. Of course, whether they have initiated, you may not know tomorrow.
Right.
Because they are not going to do it in public.
Right.
They initiate their proceedings, and if they have ground to proceed on crime, is a question of now not just lost.
Yeah.
The issue is not the lost, whether it has resulted in a crime, that what he did was criminally wrong. Then at that point it is the duty to investigate. See, the whole point of this is irrespective of who you are. That's the power of the police.
Right.
See, you are a respecter of no man. You may be the highest man or may be the poor man. If you abide by the law, we protect you.
Right.
At the same time, if you break the law, then this is our job. If we have this mentality, if the average person understand that if I break the law, I will not be able to easily get away with this. See, even by the 18th century, this philosophy was established. It is not big punishments that prevents crime. It is the kind of a knowledge inside the average citizen. I cannot do a crime and get away from it.
Agreed?
Exactly.
You cannot do a crime and get away with it.
This is the message what we want to convey. There's no way of getting away from the crime. If you committed, definitely punishment will be behind you.
And that is the message that you will.
Exactly. This is the message that we want to convey.
Does it make you sad? Does it make you sad, professionally sad, when you find police officers being remanded, jailed, found guilty?
No, not at all. If as a policeman or an ordinary citizen, if you committed any crime,
you must
definitely you have to face for that.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, DIG, and thank you, Basil Fernando, for being on Newsline. We appreciate that. And we'll be here every morning, Monday through to Friday, 7 till 7:30, asking the questions that you want answered. Take care and God bless.
Newsfirst Newsline with Faraz Shaukat Ali.